What is up? It's Hobbyist First. I've gone all in on Warhammer The Old World, transitioning away from 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy. I'm participating in an escalation league where I live, and I've put together a one-of-a-kind Ogre Kingdoms army for that. It's 2,000 points. Let's take a look at the units. The Army General is a level 4 Slaughtermaster, or in this case, a Slaughter Mistress. It's a female ogre, shaman-looking model that comes from Reaper Bones. She is using battle magic, and I often swap out one of the spells for Troll Guts. And you can see she's wearing a dress made out of flayed flesh, and blood, and stuff all over it, skulls everywhere, to represent the fact that this army is following Khorne. Also, all of my ogres' hair is dyed bright red as part of their worship of Khorne as well. So she's got a staff here and a little Noblar pet that she's pulling along. Reaper Bones, Slaughter Mistress. My other character is a Bruiser BSB on a Thunder Tusk, and he comes equipped with Mastodon armor and an Iron Fist. And you can see this model, it's got all kinds of cornate stuff on it, like a bloody skin tarp hanging on the back of the saddle there, and some skulls hanging from here. And this guy, even though he's only strength 5 with his armor bane 1, most of the damage is going to come from the mammoth or the thunder tusk, and also just the fact that it's 8 wounds that are tough to get through. I'll usually cast Troll Guts on this model. The Mastodon armor with Iron Fist gives it a 3+ save with a 6+ ward, and then it would get a 6 or a 5 regen from Troll Guts. This model's a 3D print I picked up on Etsy, and it's printed at 32mm scale so that it is suitably imposing for a character on the battlefield. I've also ordered another one of this company's mammoths, and that one I had printed at 28mm scale because it's going to represent the rare unit with the 2 riders. So I wanted the character one to be a little bit more imposing. And because he's a BSB, he has this trophy rack of skulls here to represent that. Looking at the core troops, this is a unit of 8 Ogre Bulls with Iron Fist and full command. Good mixture of models here. You can see I'm using one of the classic ogres, which are being re-released now as the Badlands Mercenary Ogres, but this one's got a plastic banner pole from the Chaos Warrior line, and there's a couple other GW plastic ogres in here. There's another one in the back, an Iron Fist. Some of the other models come from Reaper. You see a Reaper Bones ogre here in the front, though I've added Chaos Shield and an iron or a gut plate to him to bring him in line with the other guys. And here's another ogre in the back. This one I've modified to have an Iron Fist. Here is another Reaper Bones 2-headed ogre. Because my ogres are chaos themed, you'll find a lot of chaos shields and stuff, but also mutations like 2 heads. Here's that flayed skin, some cut off hands. So I tried to search different model lines for figures that looked more chaotic to pull the theme along. And this is an older metal Reaper miniature. Again, 2 heads because they're chaos dudes. Got some bones pierced through there, carrying along a pig. I used part of a plastic chariot as a shield or Iron Fist for him. And in the front, this is a plastic model from the Russian company Technolog, and Technolog is producing 54mm figures. So this is actually a 54 millimeter orc that I am using as an ogre. And you'll see a couple more Tenalog models when I get into my Iron Guts. And here are those Iron Guts with the 3 Tenalog models. Unit Champion is another one of those 54 millimeter orcs, painted to match everybody else. Even though he's sculpted a different scale, I think he scales nicely with the ogres and looks suitably chaotic. Here's another one. I mean, what am I looking for here? I'm looking for guys with great weapons and heavy armor, and these models fit the bill. He's got chaos icons free-handed onto him. These models are very inexpensive also. You find them on Amazon or eBay. This is upper half is a dragon ogre with great weapon, and the lower half is the legs from Morgenthorg, the old Blood Bowl character, and I used an ogre gut plate to hide the seam and to bring him into aesthetic with the rest of the ogres that have gut plates. A couple other guys here. The Bellower is pretty stock. He's got a little Khorne symbol painted on him on his gut plate. This I've used before as a BSB, or in this case unit standard for Iron Guts. So I modified the two-handed weapon to be held in one hand, and he's got a plastic shield that came from a Reaper miniature, and this banner pole is from a Chaos kit. And we got a stock dude here. He's got some hook added to his head, and here's another classic Reaper metal figure. Interesting thing about this guy, he came with a base that was solid metal. This is one of the few models I have in my collection that has this type of base. He's very heavy and very resistant to getting knocked over with his solid metal base. Here's 8 Iron Guts with full command. Rounding out the core troops is a unit of Gnoblar fighters. There are 20 of them here, and due to being an army that follows a chaos deity, I'm leaning heavily into the random model brands. I've got some Lord of the Rings goblins in here. I've got some classic GW metal goblins, and there's also a fair number of Reaper Bones goblinoids in there, and even grabbed a couple goblins from some of the more recent GW, or Gnoblars, sorry, there's proper Gnoblars in a couple spots here, grabbed from some of the more recent releases by Games Workshop. So these guys are run without any champion or any kind of upgrade. They are 40 points for 20 bodies. Moving into special choice, I have 2 Lead Belchers. These guys are fairly stock in their build. However, I've upgraded their guns, or modified their guns. Instead of firing scrap, see that they are firing bloody skulls out, because that's what Khorne would want. Guy's got his little Gnoblar here with a lighter, achieve some kind of flame effect using a bright white and an orange wash, a couple colors gradient to the tip of the flame. Nice little pop of color on them. This guy's got some pimples on his head. My other special choice is this Iron Blaster, and combines the rules of Heavy Chariot and a War Machine. So it stat-wise compares with a Great Cannon, meaning that it does D3 plus 1 wounds, although it does have a little bit of shorter guess range. And the pelt on there. Matches all the other flayed skin that is visible in the other models in the army that have skin on them. It's crewed by this ogre. Rhinox. Simple dry brush on him. And moving into the rare choices, I've got a giant. This giant is also from Reaper Bones, although there were a couple modifications to him. I gave him a little satchel here that came from the Kroot kit, and he's got a shield stuck on his arm so that I could find a way to put the Khorne icon forward facing. I wanted that to be visible from the front. And this is just an old enamel pin. I drilled a hole in the hand and stabbed it through, which you really can't see when you're looking at it from the front. And I changed the weapon on him to be this massive club. And this came from an old toy that was a little spring-loaded launcher and this little projectile that shot out of it. So I chopped it off and pinned it into the hand. It's a little more imposing than the weapon that came with him. I think it was a sword. He's got a Khorne etched into his back. Some skulls in his base, some slate, real rocks. And the last units are a pair of Gorgers that have been upgraded to have the Scout special rule. This first one is an unmodified metal classic GW Skyla, who fits nicely on a 50mm base. Also feel like the pose matches up pretty close with the original Gorger model's pose, which I recall having one clawed hand in the air and one clawed hand low. So this fits in my army's Khorne theme, I think, as a Gorger. And my last model is another Gorger. This is a repaint of a dollar store Monsters Inc. Sully figure, and really just played with paint to make him look horrifying. Used some blood effect on his hand and coming out of his gaping maw, and I repainted the eyes, which were much larger. I painted them to look like they were closed and more slit-like, and some skulls on his base to tie him in with the rest of the army. So a pair of Gorgers. So there's 2,000 points of Ogre Kingdoms. I will be putting together in the next couple months a video that will probably show at least double the size of what's here for a full army showcase similar to the other ones on my channel. If you're not already a subscriber, please click the subscribe button so that you'll get a notification when that video pops up and you see any of the other content that I put up. Most of it is going to relate to large collections of things for games like Warhammer and Star Wars Legion. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.